Welcome to the Coachzing Show, helping you work less, earn more, and reach more people through creative content marketing. Join the Coach Zingers community, where the world's best coaches, therapists, authors, and speakers come together to discover the latest trends, forge powerful joint ventures, and grow their business together. Go to coachzing.com/community to join. And now, here's your host, Doug Foresta.
Hello and welcome back to the Coachzing Show. This is your host, Doug Foresta, and this is the show, as always, where we help you coaches, therapists, speakers, and authors to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. Rodney Smith, welcome to the Coachzing Show.
Thank you, Doug. Good to be with you. Excited to be here.
Thank you. So can you say a little bit for our listeners that might not be familiar with you, can you say a little bit more about who you are and what you do, how you help people?
Absolutely, Doug. I appreciate it. I am a calibration consultant is what I call myself. And what I do is I focus on high achievers in pre-existing businesses who have lost connection with themselves and need recalibration to become more successful in business and life. And what that means is, they need calibration because they're not seeing things, they're not seeing opportunities in front of them to be successful. My background is predominantly business, retail, grocery, semiconductor business, over 20 years in the professional world, and I really I've met a lot of people that and been in a lot of situations where I can apply what I do. Really, what I do is I focus on helping people create that calibration to become aligned with what specifically they want, because it's different for every single person. And my story really is kind of the impetus for how I got into it.
So, I love this. I love this topic. I actually was just on a call with somebody not too long ago who was talking about someone who's really a high performer and just saying, like, I don't feel like, what she was saying was, like, I don't feel like my message or who I'm serving now. Like, I ended up here, but I'm doing great. Everybody sees me as being a high performer, but at the same time, this isn't really where I want to be. Can you say a little bit about, like, what happens in your experience that people who are very successful, who are high achievers, end up not quite in the space they want to be in?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great topic. I mean, it's, I guess I would start with my own personal story. My story is one, business for many years. And I woke up and I realized over time that, though I was outwardly successful and a high achiever, that I wasn't really living my purpose. I wasn't doing the things that really made me alive and want to pursue. It was a series of years. It was a period of years that I got to that place. I realized that, there were a lot of roadblocks and obstacles that I needed to overcome. And we typically think that because we're successful in something, we tend to just carry on with it. If we're outwardly successful, making good money, we're doing well in our career, it's very difficult to see those opportunities to do what really drives us. So, not being in the right calibration means you're not seeing the things you need to be successful. And when I say successful, I mean successful at you, who you truly are and what you truly want in life. People are busy, they're distracted, they're consumed to see opportunities, right? We know this. So I became a calibration consultant because I saw a dire need. In my own life, I realized that I wasn't happy in business. I wanted to do something else. I was able to identify what I do well, which is coaching and consulting others and helping them to see what they truly want to do in life and be, and to help them achieve high performance success over time. And so now I help people work the process that took me years, and now they can achieve it in a few months. So I help people skip all that stuff, jump over the hurdles and the roadblocks. Like I said, I spent years learning it. And, because high achievers' lives are going well, they're a high achiever, but they hit the roadblocks and they know something's wrong. They've always been able to overcome, but they're having trouble seeing that opportunity. So my process is to condense what took me years to learn into 30 to 60 days and really get them pointed in the right direction.
Can you, and obviously I know this is what you help people with, but can you give people some ideas of how you could start? Let's say if I'm really feeling overwhelmed and just not, I just don't feel in alignment with what I'm doing. What are some steps that I can start to take to begin to get myself back into alignment or back into calibration?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And so one of the things I do with clients is I go through what's called a clarity activity, and basically it helps define their emotional truth. So I ask them to think of 3 words that would describe their ideal self. If money, if current position, if nothing was an object, what would be the words that would describe their truest and best self? And ask them to do that for their interactions with others, and also for what success looks like in their lives. So 3 separate sets of 3 words. For me, my 3 self words are presence, excited, and bold. And so every day I set up a alarm on my phone to go off throughout the day at 3 various times to remind me of that truth. That is who I want to be. That is who I'm going to align to calibrate to. And it's really a simple exercise. And I take clients through this process, and they're often amazed at the power of that. And what we find is that common sense is not often common practice. And this is a common sense type activity. And now, obviously, to give you an example of a client, working with a VP of marketing and partnerships, medium-sized company, extremely successful. He's a workhorse. And what we find with folks that need calibration, my sweet spot is working with folks that are high achievers. These are folks that are the workhorses of the world. They're the folks that, are going to get it done. They drive what we do.
Right.
Well, the problem he was experiencing was he was not happy. Okay. He was not fulfilled. And we often find that folks that are not fulfilled will wind up hitting these emotional barriers, these emotional roadblocks, these have emotional breakdowns, or have a point in their life where they wake up one day and they say, who am I? And what am I about? What do I do? And this was the case with my client. And what we did was we worked through the process of calibration. And really, he's a perfect example. He was spread across 27 different things, from his business life to his personal life. He was defensive. He was consumed with work. He was unhappy. He was distracted. He knew something was wrong, as many high performers do, but they don't know how to get from A to C on something like that. So we took a deep look. We dig deep into the inner workings of what makes him tick, what he's experiencing in his current state. The problems, as I mentioned, surfaced, and I helped him define what calibration meant to him, what he wanted in life, who he wanted to be, and what he wanted to do in life to be successful. Got him back on the right path, defined the plan. The plan is something he's working now. That was a 8-week process, and going through that with him. My method and my approach is really curative in that, many will say, many programs out there, and many are sometimes prescriptive. I say mine is curative because everybody's calibration is different for them, but we want to get them to the point where they're on the right path, and then they can use that new method, that new system we put in place to live their life to their fullest.
Can you say more about what you mean, the difference between prescriptive and curative?
Yeah.
What is that? Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, so prescriptive and curative. To me, curative, what I mean by curative is, I don't put myself out there as someone who's going to be attached to the client for forever. Or, my focus is really getting them to the point where they understand who they are and who they truly want to be and what they truly want to achieve, and help them put in place strategies, methods, approaches to be able to do that and to fly on their own. Because we're talking about high achievers. As I mentioned, my focus is pre-existing high achievers in business, right? So these are folks that are very bright and obviously extremely successful in many ways. When we recalibrate them, we want them to be able to fly and go forward. Now,
Gotcha.
It doesn't mean that I wouldn't work with somebody beyond that if we need to go deeper and if it's of benefit and value to them. But my first focus is to have a curative mindset, to offer them great value and to help them on their journey to who they are and who they want to be.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that's very helpful. And, it's interesting because the other piece is, in saying all this is there are many people who I feel like there are many people say, well, you've achieved a lot. Who cares if you're, who cares? So I'm just curious about your response to this. Well, who cares if, you don't love what you're doing, but you're successful at it? Why shouldn't you keep doing it? Right. So I'm curious about your thoughts, reflections on that kind of thinking.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for asking. You're so right. I mean, that is a perfect example. And, I was that person, I was continuing on in business, doing very well,
right.
Very successful, by all outward means of success. However, what we find is that if you climb the ladder of success and you don't have meaning attached to it and you're not fulfilled and you don't do it for your own self and who you are, many times what we find is that you'll come crashing down in some way. There's numerous studies that show that, and there's numerous personal examples. And I can tell you, the folks I work with, that's a lot of what they're feeling is they're disconnected. They feel let down. They're not where they're not getting the results they wanted to or feel they should. And many times it's because they're not calibrated successfully. What I find is many times folks are, they had a myth, they had a thought in their mind that if they do all the right things in every area, if they're high performing in every area, if they do it well, they're going to be successful.
Right.
And I say, no, that's not it. The more spread we are, the more scattered we are, the more distracted we are, the more we believe the myth that we can do everything very well if we do it to a high level. It's the old example of school when we took a bunch of diverse subjects and our goal was to get the highest grades we could in each of them. Well, now diversity is calibrated in our life and we think we can do all these things, but really the focus here is to help pinpoint that down and calibrate them to what they do well and what they want to succeed at and do well at. And it could be a very different answer for every person. For you, it might be one answer that says your calibration points towards doing something totally different than what you're doing. For another person, it may be staying in the same job, just recalibrating to not be everything to all people, which is very much the example I gave you with the VP, is that he was trying to do so much that he was out of calibration. And because he was a workhorse, it's that whole myth, you just keep feeding, keep feeding. But he became so disconnected and let down that even though he loved his job and he loved his career, it had become not so much a love anymore. And so getting him back to working on the business, not in the business, really made a huge difference in his life. So it's really different for every people. And that's why I love talking about calibration, because it's really being calibrated to your true self and what you do best, and not, doing all things and thinking that you can do all things and being spread. The greatest athletes in the world, right? They do one thing.
It's funny you were going to say. It's funny you said that, because the very next thing I was going to say is sports is a great example of that. Right? It's a great. I mean, look at Michael Jordan playing baseball. Right? It's just like
yeah. Sure.
Yeah. It
really is. It's a great example, and I'm glad you brought that up, because Michael Jordan did one thing great. He's a basketball player and the greatest at it. Quarterbacks in the NFL, they're the quarterback. They're not a lineman. Olympic athletes, typically it's one sport, it's one area where they specialize, and they do that. Michael Phelps in swimming. I mean, you can list all of those, but there's this fallacy, I think, in society today that, like I say, it's the school fallacy. You try to get the highest grade in every subject and do it to the very best, then you're going to be successful. And then we transfer that to life, and we think the same thing. And we know today that there are so many things pulling at us in so many different directions that it's really easy for us to get out of calibration. And what I find is folks just need that help in helping them pinpoint, where they're at, what are their roadblocks and opportunities that they're not seeing, and how do we go about a process, a journey, and working together to get them recalibrated to what they want. I have what I call the roadblock recovery program. And what I do is, it's really focused on surfacing those roadblocks. So I call it the 3 R's. It's, I recognize roadblocks and opportunities, redirect and recalibrate for success, and replace their current systems, their current processes or methods with a new calibration, new set of methods and systems. And I don't know if you're familiar with. There's a great book called The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg.
Yeah, great book. Yep.
Fascinating book. Highly recommended. And one of the things that they talk about in there is the ability that habits are really 3 things. They're cues. They're set up by a cue, a routine, and a reward. And really, the golden rule is if you keep the cue and the reward the same, you can really, where you want to focus is on the routine, changing the routine. And so what we're trying to do, my approach is really surfacing the roadblocks, helping the client see those opportunities that may not be clear to them because they're so distracted, they're so busy, they're so every direction, and then help redirect them for success and set up a system, a new set of methods, right, that they can work through.
So this is really, really great stuff, and I think that I think it's great just that you're on, and to give people permission to say, like, you do need to calibrate, you do need to be in alignment. It's not enough to just be a high achiever and be all over the place. I mean, that alone, I think, just gives people permission to realize, like, this is not, well, like you said, it eventually we break down. Eventually it doesn't lead to sustainable success, even if you say, okay, I'm just going to do it to be a high achiever. So please do tell people, again, I know at the top of the show I shared how they can reach you, but please share with our listeners again how they can get in touch with you.
I am in the process of bringing up a new website. That website is rodneysmith.guru. I would highly encourage you. By the end of the week, we should have that up and going. You can reach me at rodneysmith.guru.
Awesome.
And I would be more than happy to connect with you. I can also you can also reach me via phone at 512-423-5893.
Rodney Smith, thank you so much for sharing your words of wisdom with us. I greatly appreciate it. So thanks everyone for listening. And I do encourage you to get in touch with Rodney, especially if you're feeling like you're out of calibration, you're out of focus. And I encourage you as well that if you would like to get new episodes of the podcast as they're released, go to iTunes, click the subscribe button. You'll get new episodes each week, helping you to work less, earn more, and help more people through creative content marketing. Till next time, this is Doug Foresta at the Coachzing Show.
Thank you for listening to the Coachzing Show. Subscribe to us via iTunes, and please leave us a review. It helps us grow our awesome tribe. This show is brought to you by Coachzing.com's Speak to Publish book system. If your book is stuck in your head, we can help you get it out in just a dozen hours of your time. Go to Coachzing.com for more information. Have you joined the Coach Zingers community yet? You'll get exclusive access to private mastermind calls where you can get instant marketing help from industry experts. Plus, we'll help you forge deals and partnerships with other like-minded professionals. Go to Coachzing.com/community to join now.